Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a man of remarkable insights and spiritual leader and head of the Sokoto Caliphate, custodian of tradition, who serves as the President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, also co-chair of NIREC. His support for women and girls nationwide is incalculable. Please welcome with me His Eminence Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar III.
His Excellency, no, we are not too much in protocol. Please sit down. Your Excellencies, distinguished members of this very important symposium, I recognize our children, our great-grandchildren, the girl child, all over the country, all over the world, very ably represented by the ones in this hall. So I recognize you first because we are here because of you. His Excellency, the Deputy Speaker, and the man at the head of this drive for recognition of women in politics, women in positions of authority, the representative of the Senate President, and through the wife of the governor of Kwara State, my own state, that I've lived for so many years. And I'm so proud to be part of a Ilorin dynasty. I recognize all other leaders here, but I must recognize the wife of the Oluofori, my own friend, my very good brother. I was telling her a couple of weeks back, I was with the wife of Oni at the Olubadan coronation, and we were seated together. So she was representing the Oni of Ife. Today, another sister of mine is here with me, representing my other brother, the Olu of Ori. So through you, I recognize all other distinguished ladies and leaders here. And I greet you in the best form of greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is a day we must always thank Almighty Allah for His blessing, for bringing us together. I know a lot of people will ask, why should I present myself? Why should I be present personally? I could have sent a representative. The background of this thing was when the Deputy Speaker called me and Osasu, and we talked. And he told me of the importance of this program. And I told him that, in fact, this program is ours, not only yours. Because what I will say shortly will tell you why we put so much importance on the girl child and the girl child education and the female's leadership in all aspects of our lives. All of us here were brought into the world by a woman. All of us. And she was our first teacher in our lives. She brought us up until we knew what was happening in the world. So when the Deputy Speaker got in touch with me, I said, Inshallah, I'll try and be here. And despite the graduate schedule, that I'm here to attend this program and lend my voice in supporting what's going to be discussed here and what the outcome is going to be and urge all of us to ensure we implement. I use the word implement because I've said it so many times, so many fora. What we lack is implementing whatever we have decided to do, which is right for our country, which is right for our humanity. So thank you all for being here, being the first to speak after the very lengthy, I call it keynote address by authors that put straight why we're here, what we need to do. And it's taking place on International Day of the International Day of the Girl Child. But she didn't tell you how we agreed for me to be here, for the Deputy Speaker to be here. And I'm not going to say it all, since she didn't say so. Because what she wanted me to do, I told her I would do it better with my physical presence at this program. And today we thank Almighty that we're here. And let me say how delighted really I am personally to participate at this forum that seeks to leverage the International Day of the Girl Child to frame women's political representation as a democratic, moral, and developmental imperative. I'm glad that this forum is a partnership of diverse platforms brought together by the need to mainstream women into governance. I'm particularly glad because this is one of the fundamental goals of the founders of the Sokoto Caliphate, which I happen to represent now. And they wrote so many books on the subject. They defied the prevailing understanding to break the chains and to liberate women from ignorance and subjugation. It was both an intellectual, social, and political struggle that paid off. For not only did the Sokoto Caliphate educated its women, the leader Sheikh Othman Danfodio made sure that his wives and daughters were thoroughly educated, producing in the process his daughter Nana Asmao, who wrote over 80 works in different languages. She had a good command of at least 5 languages. Nana Asmao was not only a scholar, she was a social and political activist who created an all-women movement called the Antaru, which today is celebrated in at least 7 of the 50 states of the United States of America, as at now. Nana Asmao was honored with an honorary degree a couple of years back by University of Abuja, and I was there. And in 2011, I remember very well, Harvard University in the US had a seminar on Nana Asmao, and I was there at Harvard University. And I wish you could hear what speakers said about this great lady, whom we own her here in Nigeria, but we don't know nothing about her again. So I was pleased to be at that symposium at Harvard University in Massachusetts, USA. And when she was alive, she was a special advisor to her brother, Sultan Muhammad Bello. I want you to underline the special advisor to her brother, who was Sultan Muhammad Bello. That was Nana Asmao for you. So I'm not surprised that this will come as a surprise to many of you sitting here, because you virtually don't know nothing about Nana Asmao. Because the curriculum we study in our schools was designed by our colonial masters to hide our history. And denigrate our past and exaggerate the achievements of Europe and America. But the history of many colonial African polities, like Kanem-Borno Empire, for example, is full of participation of women in administration and politics. In the 11th century, there was an African movement of scholars called Almoravitun. In English, they call it Almoravids, which moved into Spain and ruled it as Andalus for 500 years. the role which women played both as scholars and as participants in political decisions in this movement will amaze many today. And I think you need to read history to know it. And this has its roots in the nascent Muslim community built by our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where women were educated, consulted, and participated in administration and even in warfare, though rarely in combat. Excellent, honorable ladies and gentlemen, the point I'm making here is that African Muslim pre-colonial politics have a rich record of women participation in scholarship, administration, and politics. But our education has been designed to cover it up and ignore it. This is not the time for long speeches. So while assuring you of our commitment and total support to this program and to our women to participate, we wish to urge you to study our history from our historians who have read the large volumes of books now being translated to English so that we will be taking informed decisions. I'm also glad that in your concept, note that you use the word equity. This shows you are conscious of the fact that the natural role differentiation of the two genders is preserved, even as we ensure fairness, justice, and inclusion. We must not seek to copy the West hook, line, and sinker. We must preserve our African values, for indeed, our family system is today the envy of many in the West. It is worth repeating that the more we read our history, the more we will discover that Africa has within its history and given resources all it needs in this continent that are destined to be great. Our contemporary wars are due as much to our negligence as to the continuation of our neo-colonial relationship with our colonial past. Excellency, Deputy Speaker, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in us you have a very strong partner. We will work with you, we will support you morally. And you know why I say morally. That's the only thing we can give you. You have everything at your beck and call, but you can reach out to us anytime. We'll support you until you achieve this desired goal of bringing in our women to partner in running the affairs of our great country. But we believe, yes, with more women in position of authority, you are sure of at least doing the right thing at the and in the best of their abilities. So I thank you most sincerely. I thank you for inviting us. And as I've said, it's better I am here personally. I'm not represented because, as you English people say, hear it from the horse's mouth. I'm not a horse, but I ride horses. So you have heard it from me, and I believe from here, let's march forward to achieve our goal through the National Assembly, through all of us, because we have paid so much attention to girl child education. We've ensured that we bring up this fight, this struggle of educating our girl child at the highest level. If I remember, the Sultan Foundation hosted a seminar on keeping girls in school, where we had about 23, 24 African countries that attended, and President Buhari himself was present at that program at Nike Luxury Hotel some years back. So we are working very hard. We've gone around the country talking about education of the girl child and also health issues with Sultan Foundation, with the Emir of Argungu here is personally superintending. I'm just at the background. They are doing all the work. So we thank you most sincerely. May Almighty Allah bless our country, bless our leadership. And I always end my all speeches, when I end my speech, please, please, please stop castigating our country. Stop bringing our country down. Pray for our country, because we don't have another country but this country. I was in Bauchi 2 days ago, and that's what exactly I ended my speech with, and that was on a live television. This one too is on live television. Stop denigrating our country. We are the best we can be. This country is so blessed by Almighty, and Almighty can never be wrong by dismissing this country what it is. And we need to work up with one another, help one another, help the leadership, pray for the leadership, from the president to National Assembly members to the governors wives. And as I've said, to we, innocent human beings that needed your prayers, please pray for this country, because as I've quoted also in Bauchi, President Buhari, when he was a military head of state, there was this slogan that this country belongs to all of us. We have no other country but this country, but we must stay together and salvage it together. We can't run anywhere. We will not run anywhere. Nigeria will be the greatest in this world, inshallah, and we pray for our leadership. I thank you for attending. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We thank His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, who has delivered such a worthy and heartwarming intervention. His role here is not just as a spiritual leader, as a traditional custodian of our cultures, and he has as well told us that two genders move forward and that we should preserve our African values, and that Nigeria is on the rise. Our job is to pray for our leaders, and together we will salvage Nigeria. Please, let's give another round of applause to His Eminence. His Excellency, the very respected Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima, is represented here today by Ms. Hawa Liman, Special Advisor in the Office of His Excellency. Please, let's give her a resounding round of applause, because it is important for us to remember that our leaders have thought very highly of this event and therefore have sent top-level persons to represent them. We truly appreciate His Excellency, the Vice President, for doing so. I'd like to welcome also Her Excellency, Mrs. Edesili Okwebolo-Anani, the First Lady of Edo State. We thank you for being here. We sincerely appreciate your presence, and we're glad that you are here. I'd like to recognize His Eminence Archbishop Daniel Oko, CAN President, represented by Right Reverend Ini Ukoho, Chaplain, National Christian Center, Abuja. Where are you, sir? We thank you for coming. We appreciate you. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I always say that to be a girl is cute. You know, when you're a girl, you can wear all those nice headbands, nice ribbons, and run around and be happy with yourself. She gets a good quality of life. She's empowered by her family, and she gets good education. She would be very well on her way. A woman very much after my heart is next. She's representing His Royal Highness the Olu of Warri. Please welcome Her Highness Olori Ivie Atonshi, as she makes her way here, ever elegant, ever the role model for many girl children across the world. We welcome you.
Over Gemini and Pisces, every corner reads war and crisis.
So I see how you struggled on the, good evening, everybody. Allow me to please recognize the presence of His Excellency, the Deputy Speaker of this great great house. Thank you for hosting us here and lending your voice to such an important cause. Allow me to recognize the presence of the representative of the Senate President, and my big mommy and mentor, Her Excellency, the First Lady of Kwara State. Lovely to see you as always. His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Majesty says I should greet you especially. Thank you for everything that you represent, not just nationally, but across the world. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. You are truly a voice in a very important space. And allow me to stand on existing protocol. I bring you all warm greetings from His Majesty, Ogiame Atuashe III, the Olu of Warri, who, though he was unable to attend personally, is a steadfast champion of women's advancement, as is evidenced in him sending me to represent him. I must say that I was still very shocked when he got the letter. He's in Lagos at the moment at another function, and he said, I won't be able to make it, but I've told them that you're going to represent me. I said, me? Okay. And when I asked him, I said, do you have a speech that you want me to read? He said, I trust you. You can go ahead and draft something from your mind. And that speaks to the very essence of who he is as a leader, trusting women to represent him, understanding that their voice matters. And so I recognize and respect him in this speech. I will go ahead and read the speech that I drafted myself. I think that I give honor to his words, or to his heart. Some of you remember how in primary school we used to sing this song. Parents, listen to your children, we are the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you. Try and pay our school fees and give us a good education. Okay, so some of you are too bougie to know the song. But yes, thank you to my helpers at the back. You see, when we were little boys and girls, raising our voices together with hope, but nobody told us that someday we girls would hear a different tune. We would try to lead, and we would be told, let the men handle this, as if leadership only comes in one gender. From our homes to boardrooms and political offices, Nigerian women have had to fight for our chance to lead and reach our full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, changing the status quo isn't just personal, it is generational, and it is national. Today's theme, advancing women's representation through policy, comes at a perfect moment as we push for the reserved seats in Parliament. And I'd like to thank everyone, especially His Excellency, the Deputy Speaker, in this room, for working hard to make this historical constitutional reform a reality. I won't reiterate what we all know, because I believe I'm preaching to the choir about why this change is long overdue. What I want to share today is complementary. How can we expand our work alongside policy change so that when our girls sing that they are the leaders of tomorrow, that tomorrow truly includes them? From years of working with women across Nigeria, I've discovered that entrenching lasting change doesn't start and end only in the legislative chambers. It happens when we align our efforts across what I would like to think about as three critical pillars. In our homes, where mindsets take roots, in our communities, where potential is unlocked, and yes, in our legislative chambers, where we must enshrine equity into law. I see this first level changing mindsets at home in my own daily choices. When I take my daughter to high-level engagements such as this, or when her father chooses for her to sit in board meetings with him and jot her own notes, where people might wonder why this is happening. It is a choice that we make as parents because we want her to see that female leadership is as tangible and as normal as her breathing. We want her to understand that her voice, even at this age, is valid. Another thing that we do, and this is why I can do what I do, and I say this at every chance that I get, is because of my husband's future forward leadership. He champions women and girls. When he became king, one of the first acts he did was to institutionalize the office of the Olori. It had never been done before. And he didn't just hand me a title. He built a platform for me to empower Warri women and children. More than that, he ensures that in Warri Kingdom, women sit at the critical decision-making tables and lead key initiatives. Still, a few individual families and leaders, no matter how progressive, just like the Sultan, are unable to shift a nation. This is why we also work at community level. Through our foundation, the Royally Wear Foundation, we upskill thousands of women in entrepreneurship, and we've seen that our empowered women go on to employ others and then mentor younger girls. Furthermore, we hold frequent town hall meetings and we encourage these same women to ask us tough questions and to advocate for improved living conditions. Our women, without them knowing and without them trying, are becoming our own policy influencers in the Warri Kingdom. Which brings me to the third level. Like I said, I know I'm preaching to the choir. Female participation in Nigeria's legislature is under 5%. I didn't actually know that we were failing, but I believe that we can fail forward with conversations like this and symposiums like this. By contrast, in Rwanda and Namibia, the rate is over 40%. Those figures didn't happen by accident. They came from intentional choices like quotas and party practices that prioritized women. Yet, it's not about increasing female participation numbers for the sake of numbers. Trends indicate that countries and communities with more women leaders tend to invest more in public services and achieve better health, education, and governance outcomes. So increasing women in leadership by policy is not just a good decision, it's a smart decision. With more women in Nigerian leadership, we can set our nation on a trajectory of steady growth. Ladies and gentlemen, I know not everyone can shape the legislative text, but every single one of us can help ensure its enduring impact. The Sultan spoke my heart when he said implementation. And we don't have to wait for the legislator to pass that bill. I often say it, the private becomes the public when we put in gender equity into our daily choices. Every choice you make, we must ensure that we are, as parents, as community leaders, as business owners, as policymakers, bringing gender equity to the forefront of every single decision that we are making. Many women of my generation and the older generation have had their leadership dreams unfortunately truncated by words, by actions, and even the omission of others. We cannot let this happen to the next generation. Championing the reserved seats bill, for example, offers a way for us to ensure that when Nigerian children sing, "We are the leaders of tomorrow," we finally mean all of them, not just the boys. Thank you all so much for listening to me. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless the Warri Kingdom. God bless you all. Thank you.
Please, can we make it bigger and louder till she gets to her seat? Thank you very much.
I am a mountain.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to, on behalf of the convener, appreciate every one of you for your patience thus far. You can be rest assured that at the end of the day, it will be worth your time. Very quickly, I'd like to make welcome for her remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of Melinda Gates, and I quote, "A woman with a voice is, by definition, a strong woman." Now, this woman I'm about to make welcome to the microphone is not just a strong woman, but this is a woman who makes governance look so beautiful. As a First Lady, she embodies what I call empathy, purpose, and grace. In spite of your religion, in spite of your creed, this woman is the definition of a mother. She believes in the girl child just as she believes in the boy child as well. And we're honored to have her here. I've been in the media for about 15 years, and I used to know when she was director at the Federal Ministry of Finance. And this woman is one woman who defines principle in its entirety. Soft-spoken, but her words carry so much weight. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we're honored to have her here, the First Lady of Kwara State. If your hands are not busy, help me jam them together for Her Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Mrs. Olufalake Abdul Razak. Please, a round of applause for her. She comes forward. Keep clapping.
For that introduction. I'm not quite sure I recognize myself, but I'm very happy with it and I'll take it. And don't forget, it was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not Finance. My ambassador colleagues would know. It's wonderful to be here, and I had to fly in from Kwara State. I bring you greetings from the governor of Kwara State. He couldn't be here. We lost of Kwara State, Chief Cornelius Adebayo, and he's been buried today. So I had to fly here because we had been working on this for a while, and we at the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum are co-conveners alongside His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto. So please rest assured that the governor of Kwara State, the gender governor of Nigeria, is here. He's listening, and he will hear back all that we discuss here today. As you know, Kwara has the youngest commissioner, female, in the Nigeria. Kwara has the youngest female House of Assembly member here present. Kwara in the first tenure had 52.6% women in the cabinet, more women than men. Kwara has passed the 35% affirmation bill. And so many more things that we'll talk about much later. The Vice President, ably represented by Mrs. Hawa Liman, the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Abe, thank you so much for all that you're doing. And we at the Nigeria Governor Spouses Forum really appreciate the pact that we signed, and we will continue to work with you to realize this bill. Her Excellency Engineer Mrs. Tamuno Mini Makinde, the First Lady of Oyo State, His Eminence, as we say in Kwara, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar II, MNI, His Royal Highness Alhaji Sumaila Muhammad Mera, the Emir of Argungu, Her Royal Majesty Olori Atuase III, the Queen Consort of the Warri Kingdom, representing the Olu of Warri, the British Deputy High Commissioner, and I think we should actually call her a co-convener. We've done so much with you on this topic. Ms. Jill Lever, the Ambassador for Switzerland, Mr. Richard M. Mills, the CEO TOS Foundation, Chief Mrs. Osasu Igbenedion, and her wonderful husband, Chief Oguche, Mrs. Osasu Igbenedion Oguche, and her husband. It's not often that we put the wife before the husband, but I'm sure you'll understand the purpose why we're here today. We have the United Nations represented here, and I'm happy to welcome you, and the UN Women Country Representative, Mrs. Beatrice Ayong, the coordinator of the Office of the First Lady of Edo State, Mrs. Okpebolo Anani. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to rest on the established protocol for want of time. It is an honor and a great pleasure to be part of this symposium put together by the TOS Foundation, the Sultan of Sokoto Foundation, and partners from the House of Representatives Constitution Review Committee, the Nigeria Governor Spouses Forum, of which I am chair, and the House of Representatives Spouses Association. I commend the TOS Foundation and their tenacity in advocating for gender parity and promoting the inclusion of women and girls while spotlighting the resourcefulness of women as leaders through the convocation of events such as this, particularly as we celebrate the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child. So girls, today is your day, and I'm sure you are pleased and happy that we're all here because of you. Although we will make sure we do not leave the boys behind. Outcomes from this symposium, in my belief, will create pathways that would engender a brighter future for every Nigerian girl. Distinguished Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished guests, despite the declaration made at the 4th World Women Conference in Beijing in 1995, which advocated 30% affirmative action, and the National Gender Policy, NCP, recommendation of 35% for a more inclusive representation of women, both in elective and appointed positions, Nigerian women still struggle to find their pride of place in politics and governance. Some states, such as Kwara State, have signed and implemented the 35% Women Inclusion Bill, and it is expected that more states will toe this line in the nearest future. While some gains were recorded in women representation in state houses of assembly membership during the last election cycle, particularly in states like Kwara, we have 5 women out of 24. We have also 6, I believe, in Ekiti State, and we have in all the states. So we are doing not too badly at the state level. This has, however, not been the case at the current 10th National Assembly, as only 4 women were voted into the Senate out of 109 total members, while the House of Representatives has only 16 women out of a total of 360 members. This development, you will agree with me, gives credence to the propriety of today's gathering, as it affords us the opportunity to discuss prevalent challenges hindering legislative actions aimed at advancing women's political inclusion, enhance awareness on the importance of temporary special measures such as legislated gender quotas, reserved seats, and political party quotas as gender-responsive approaches to enhancing political inclusion and participation of women and girls in the country. While we await the passage of the Reserved Seats for Women Bill in the coming days, we believe so strongly that it will happen. The efforts put into the advocacy speak succinctly to the theme of today's event, Girls Today, Leaders Tomorrow, Advancing Women's Representation Through Policy. As such, as we diligently push for the realization of this legislative bid, it stands to create a future where leadership across sectors and communities is enhanced. Further to this symposium will also afford us the avenue to share lessons learned and develop critical advocacy paradigms for required, actionable, affirmative initiatives on further constitution alteration proposals dealing with women. Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished guests, while women constitute about half of our voting population in Nigeria and contribute immensely to the growth and development of our society, our innate potentials have not been substantially translated to the inclusion we all crave. In commemoration of this year's International Day of the Girl Child, however, I enjoin us to be reminded that the resilience and enormous untapped potentials of Nigerian girls continue to contribute immeasurably to the growth and development of our communities. In light of this, I call on all critical stakeholders, a lot of you here today, to let us do everything we can to listen to girls and empower them with the individual abilities, social support, and the resources they need to thrive and transform their communities. Even in the most difficult of circumstances, let us therefore support them to become leaders, the leaders needed. You may all be aware that in the last few days, we in the States have been, we First Ladies that are known as the RHI state coordinators. The RHI is the foundation, the charity initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We've been given 10,000 sanitary pads per state to distribute in our states, and this will be an ongoing exercise. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we know that girls lose a lot of days. They don't go to school on days where they're on their periods, and we've been trying in our own little ways, First Ladies, to meet this gap. We've worked with Procter & Gamble and a few other people, and we've been trying to distribute pads. But the First Lady has come in strong with 10,000 pads, which translates to about pads needed for a whole year by each girl in each state. So we need to give Her Excellency a round of applause for this initiative, because it will keep our girls in school, and it will keep them abreast of their studies, since they don't lose 5 to 6 days every month while they're on their periods. For us at the Nigeria Governor Spouses Forum, we remain committed to amplifying the voices of women and girls in every sphere through advocacy, education, health, and social protection initiatives. We believe initiatives alongside schooling. They're in universities, they have a second income, and it is really helping our girls. And like I said, we will not leave our boys behind. So on the other hand, we also make sure that we do skills acquisition programs for boys and the youth. I will stop here. I think we'll be able to discuss more a little bit later. Thank you all for having me here today.
I'm the world's greatest.
Please, one more time, can we hear it for Her Excellency, Ambassador Chief Mrs. Olufalakia Abdurazak. Your Excellencies, our Royal Fathers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, I'd like to recognize the presence of the representative of the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Dung, who is ably represented here by an outstandingly beautiful but also intelligent woman who is always pushing for the girl child. I'm talking about the Director, Economic Policy, Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Mrs. Ndidi Gino Yelom C. Please, a round of applause for her, please. In the same vein, I was on the social media space earlier today and I saw this write-up and I was moved. It said, a girl is not a problem, but a solution, a change maker and a leader. Those are the words of a woman who has continued to champion initiatives for the girl child in Imo State. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please, I'd like to recognize the presence of the First Lady of Imo State, Her Excellency Chief Barrister Mrs. Joma Uzodimma. Please, a round of applause for her.
Your Excellency, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, the man that not only preaches the gospel of inclusivity in governance, but also practices it. The Sultan of Sokoto, the chairperson of the Spouses of Nigeria's Governors Forum, the First Lady of Kwara State, and all other dignitaries that are here present. Good evening. As rightly alluded to by the Master of Ceremony, I am representing the President of the Senate, and therefore I have to adhere to the speech that was given to me to deliver. If there is anything personal that I want to add, I will only add after the speech. And his speech reads thus: today we gather not merely for a symposium, but for a statement of conscience, of vision, and of hope. We meet under the theme Girls Today, Leaders Tomorrow, advancing women's representation through policy. This theme speaks to both the promise of our daughters and the responsibility of our generation. As lawmakers, we know that progress is not sustained by good wishes, but by good laws. As leaders, we know that justice is not proclaimed by rhetoric, but by reform. And as parents, we know that the greatest inheritance we can give our children, especially our daughters, is opportunity. Most of us here are in many ways indebted to our mothers. Though I lost my mother many years ago, her influence has never left me. She was a woman of strength and principle, firm yet tender, prayerful yet practical. She taught me to rise early, to speak truth, and to fear God. I often say that whatever sense of empathy or justice I have carried into public life was first planted by my mother's hand. When you have known the wisdom of woman at home, you will never doubt the value of woman in public life. That is why, to me, this conversation about women representation is not a political project. It is a personal conviction. The idea of reserved seats for women in parliament is not charity. It is justice. It is not favor. It is fairness. Across the world, societies that have elevated women into the heart of governance have witnessed deeper stability, better legislation, and more inclusive growth. When women are at the table, the conversation changes from ambition to compassion, from politics to people. Nigeria cannot afford to keep half of its talent in the waiting room. The time has come to move from applauding women to empowering them, from rhetoric to representation. Under the 10th National Assembly, we are committed to institutionalizing reforms that make gender inclusion not just an aspiration but a constitutional guarantee. The Constitution Review Committee of the National Assembly is already considering proposals to establish reserved seats for women in both chambers of the National Assembly and in the state houses of assembly. We are doing this not because women are weak, but because the structure of our democracy must be strong enough to carry everyone. We cannot build a great house of state on one gender's shoulder. The roof will always tilt. The girls of today will become the leaders of tomorrow, and we build the bridge for them. That bridge must begin in the home, where parents must teach both sons and daughters that leadership has no gender. It must extend to the classroom, where teachers must nurture confidence and curiosity in girls, not conformity. And it must culminate in policy, where the government must open deliberate pathways for women to serve and to shine. When we leave one girl, we leave entire generation. When we empower women, we empower the moral conscience of the nation. This is not a battle of men versus women. It is a partnership for progress. Let us join hands, lawmakers and advocates, mothers and fathers, leaders and followers, to build a Nigeria where every girl child can see a future with her name on it. Let us be remembered as the generation that turned good intentions into good laws and turned good laws into lasting change. Let us, through policy and conviction, ensure that every girl child in Nigeria can rise, lead, and contribute to the greatness of our republic. Because when we give women a seat at the table, Nigeria takes a seat among the great nations of the world. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, subject to the indulgence of this very important gathering, I want to chip in a word or two, since I read the message of the President of the Senate. I can recall vividly with nostalgia when I was in the House of Representatives, because I spent 20 years in the House of Representatives before I came to the Senate. In the 7th and the 8th Senate, I championed the cause of inclusivity in governance by way of women representation, and I sponsored the special seat bill as a member of the House of Representatives. Though in both sessions, it didn't see the light of the day. And the reason why the Senate President keeps on telling me to represent him in occasions of this nature is because he knows I championed that cause in the Senate. That is why even last week, Monday, I represented him in a similar occasion that is being chaired by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The assurance that I want to give our girl child is that this time around there is a ray of hope in the horizon. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Inshallah, by the grace of God, with the advocacy, the commitment that is so far displayed by the 10th National Assembly, this bill is going to see the light of the day, so that there will be inclusivity in governance in Nigeria. Once again, thank you very much.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a true he for she, the Chief Whip. We thank you, sir, the very distinguished Senator Mongono, who championed inclusivity and sponsored the special seat bill in the House of Representatives when he was there. And therefore, because of his passion for including women in these various positions in the National Assembly, the distinguished President of the Senate finds him worthy every time to join us women and to join, of course, the Deputy Speaker, who is sitting in the forefront of all of that now, to push for this bill. He gives his assurance and he talks about how important that bill is so that we can all together move Nigeria forward. But of course, the very distinguished senator had also delivered the speech of the President of the Senate, who paid glowing tribute to his mother. Every time we talk about women leading, women working side by side with men, we remember that men are very fond of their daughters. Men are very close to their mothers. And because of that, anything that has to do with women is very special to their heart. They try, of course, to show that this matter is a matter that we're talking about. But now, of course, we have the very distinguished Senator Mongono, the Senate President, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, and of course His Eminence, all of them speaking in the same direction of how women matter to the world and how the girls are so very important. And I'm very delighted to be a girl, to be honest. I enjoy the privileges that come with it. And I always say to people, after 42 years of being married to my husband, he still opens my car door. I love it. I really, really love it. I think it's fantastic. It may sound frivolous, but I'm telling you, when he opens the car door, everybody is looking and going, and I feel very special. Yeah. Okay. So I am that girl that aced my mathematics and wanted to be an inventor. I am that girl that wants to be a queen. Indeed. I want to be in cybersecurity. I am that girl that can draw, that can paint, that can organize, that can lead. I want to be a politician. I want to be a fashion designer. I can be everything that I want to be because I'm a Nigerian girl child. I flew in from Lagos the other day and the pilot was a woman. You can imagine how chuffed I was. I sat there smiling from ear to ear as if I was the one flying the plane. But when you see a woman in roles that are considered not for women, you feel even more special. I am the Nigerian girl child, and today is my day. It's now time for me to invite the representative of His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mrs. Liman, to come forward, please, and deliver his intervention at this time. Please chair her as she comes along. She's his technical advisor on women, youth engagement, and impact. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Auntie Eugenia. By the way, I'm a very big fan, so I'm honored to have another opportunity to meet you one more time. And your daughters are girls I love. I love what they do. I'm so proud of them. Thank you very much. She has twin daughters that are really doing well in the creative space. Thank you very much. Just like the Olori mentioned, the Oba asked her to do it on her own. My boss, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, said, Hawa, that is why you're there. So do your job. Honorable Deputy Speaker of the Federal Republic, House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Chairperson of the Governor Spouses Forum, and distinguished First Ladies here present, my father, His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, development partners and members of the diplomatic community here present, our diplomatic and members of the diplomatic community, our vibrant and most important attendees this evening, the girls in our midst, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is my presentation on behalf of my boss, my principal, His Excellency the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. It gives me great pleasure to join you at this year's TOS Symposium, an important convening that brings together policy influencers, traditional leaders, and champions of women's advancement to commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child. I am honored to represent my principal here today, a man that truly believes investing in the girl child is not a favor, neither is it charity. His Excellency Kashim Shettima believes having women at the decision-making table is smart governance. And this conviction of his further reflects President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's belief in the importance of women at the decision-making table. As he often says, no nation can reach its full height when half of the population is left behind. This year's theme, Girls Today, Leaders Tomorrow, is both timely and symbolic. It comes at a defining moment in our national journey when we are collectively reflecting on constitutional reforms that have the potential to shape Nigeria's democratic future. Central to that reflection is the question of representation. Who sits at the decision-making table and whose voices shape our policies, our laws, and our shared destiny? Today's conversation on reserved seats for women in parliament is not just a call for fairness, it's a call for nation building. Evidence from across the world shows that when women lead, communities thrive, institutions are strengthened, and governance becomes more inclusive. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu under the Renewed Hope agenda recognizes that advancing women's political participation is not only a democratic imperative, but a strategic investment in Nigeria's stability and prosperity. This is why this administration continues to demonstrate its commitment. Within the office of the Vice President, young women are serving strategic advisory roles and in technical capacities. They are designing policies, leading development programs, managing youth and women empowerment initiatives that directly impact millions of Nigerians. For example, take a look at the NEC and climate change, agriculture, regional development, women and youth, humanitarian affairs, all in the office of the Vice President are being headed by women. These are not mere appointments. They are affirmation of trust, proof that Nigerian women are capable, credible, and committed to shaping the nation's future. But beyond representation, the goal is to institutionalize inclusion. This is why this administration, I believe, strongly supports the ongoing constitutional review process, particularly the proposals to reserve seats for women in the national and state assemblies. I personally believe this is a progressive step towards building a more balanced, stable, and inclusive democracy. It's not about tokenism, it's about justice, about harnessing our full potential as women, and about creating a governance system that reflects the diversity and aspirations of our people. We are also working in the OVP with our partners to equip young women with the skills, confidence, and networks they need to lead in politics, in business, in technology, and in community development. This is what we're currently doing under my own office through the Youth Opportunity Summit curated and delivered. We've currently covered 5 states, and I'm happy to share with you that in these 5 states, we have a component of the Indigenous Language Business Pitching Competition where we support young entrepreneurs in the informal sector. And today, over 80% of the winners are women. Yesterday, I just got back from another program, and most of the beneficiaries are women, to show you that when given the opportunity, women deliver. So today as we gather, let this symposium not be another conversation. Let it be a call to action, a call to reimagine Nigeria's democracy through the eyes of inclusion, a call to recognize that a little girl in Daura, in Yenegua, or in Udi in Enugu State deserves to dream to becoming a legislator, a governor, and even a president, and to have a system that supports her journey. I salute the conveners of this symposium, the TOS team, His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, the House of Representative Constitution Review Committee, the Nigerian Spouses Governors Forum, and all other partners for providing this platform for dialogue and action. Let us continue to work together to ensure that every Nigerian girl can not only dream, but lead. Let us remember, when we invest in our girls today, we secure leaders for tomorrow and a stronger, more united Nigeria for all. Thank you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as the world marks the International Day of the Girl Child today, we do more than commemorate a date on the calendar. We affirm our moral and constitutional duty to build a nation where every child's potential is not constrained by gender, but liberated by opportunity. According to UNICEF, about 129 million girls worldwide are out of school. This is not a statistics, not data. It is a silent emergency. In Nigeria, UNESCO estimates nearly 10.5 million children are out of school. 60% of them girls. Beyond education, many face trafficking. Many face health risk, gender-based violence, and economic exclusion. When girls are denied these opportunities, the nation loses critical human capital. Democracy loses balance, and decisions are incomplete. For women represent half of the nation's voice. As Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and as a proud father of brilliant young girls, I speak today not just from policy conviction, but from personal responsibility. Invested in the girl child transforms societies. She becomes a leader who can drive the economy, nurture peace, and anchor governance with integrity. That is why this gathering matters. The theme, Girls Today, Leaders Tomorrow, Advancing Women's Representation Through Policy, is a national strategy calling us to nurture leadership from childhood, legislate inclusion, and secure the future of governance. A nation that limits the potential of its girls limits the progress of its democracy. If we are serious about Nigeria's future, then we must start by asking, what future are we preparing for the Nigerian girl? Because a nation that limits the potential of its girls limits the progress of its democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a global context to this conversation across the world. One truth has become undeniable. Nations that invest in their girls build stronger economies, fairer societies, and more resilient democracies. The World Bank estimates that closing the gap, global education gap, could add up to $28 trillion to the world's GDP. Gender equity, therefore, is not just a social justice issue. It is an economic growth strategy. Look at the global map of progress. Rwanda's post-1994 reforms introduced reserved seat for women. And today, women hold 61% of seats in its chambers of deputies, the highest in the world. In Sweden, Finland, New Zealand gender-balanced cabinets have produced governments ranked among the most transparent globally. Closer to home, Kenya, Tanzania adopted similar reforms that amplified women's voices in governance and strengthened social policy. The lesson is clear. Progress happens where inclusion is intentional and protected by law, not left to goodwill, charity, tokenism, fervor. No. It should go beyond being a conversation to being something we implement, like the Sultan rightly pointed out. It should not be a wishful thinking. We should desire it, take steps towards it, make it happen, and give it wheels to roll to the progress that this country deserves. So conversely, exclusion weakens governance, erodes social policy, and deprives nations of half their human capital. Tonight, a lot of you, and gladly so, have discussed issues of spatial seat, the reserved seat, from speaker to speaker. It has become the in-thing, the trending topic, and gladly, a lot of people are embracing it, from the parliament to the streets, from the marketplace to the churches to the mosque, to the education classrooms. It shows that it's the conversation. And so let's talk a little bit about it as a case for structured inclusion. The Special Seat Bill, known as HB 1349, which I proudly sponsor alongside other members of the Parliament, is a constitutional innovation, grounded in data, grounded in fairness, grounded in strategy. It proposes temporary reserved seats for women in the National Assembly and state houses of assembly to correct decades of underrepresentation. Nigeria's record is alarming. Women hold only 4.21% of seats in the House of Representatives and 3.7% in the Senate, placing us 178 out of 182 countries globally, according to the Interparliamentary Union's report. By contrast, Senegal down the road has 41%, South Africa up the road has 44.4%, Uganda below there has 34%, and Rwanda a whopping 63.75%. And yet we answer the king of democracy, we answer the elephant of Africa. All achieved through deliberate legislative action. That was how they went about it. So in over 60 years of legislative history, fewer than 200 women in the history of our democracy, fewer than 200 women have served in both chambers combined. A clear sign of systemic imbalance. Nobody's going to correct it except you and I. This bill is not about sentiment. It's not about justice. Women give. It's not about justice alone. It's about equity. Women give birth, give life, sustain families, and anchor our society. Yet in the mid-20th century, they could neither vote nor own properties, nor participate in public decision-making in parts of Nigeria. Some argue the bill undermines merit, yet true merit cannot flourish where opportunity is denied. Section 42 of the Constitution allows affirmative action to address historical inequalities, imbalances, and this bill, reviewed every 16 years, is a lawful, self-correcting instrument for inclusion. PLAC estimates its cost as less than 1% of the National Assembly's budget. This is for some of you who are concerned that it's going to increase the cost of governance. Many are crying, why do you want to increase it? There is a report that says it is only 1% of the National Assembly budget. A small price for immense return. The ROI on that 1% is huge. When you look at it, that is return on investment. If we invest 1%, the return is huge. Meanwhile, McKinsey reports that closing global gender gap could add 28 trillion to GDP by 2030, which for Nigeria translates into billions in productivity and human capital. So it's not just about politics. It's not just about representation. It's about our economy. We have been holding our economy down by not balancing the equation. Women make up 49.43% of our population, according to statistics, Times, and their representation is essential because some issues can only be fully understood and legislated effectively by those who live them. I won't talk about maternal health better than Osaso because I've not been pregnant before. There are so many issues that will come naturally to women. Also, passing this bill will reaffirm Nigeria's moral authority as Africa's largest democracy, committed to inclusion and justice. Ladies and gentlemen, the 10th House of Representatives, I don't know about you, but the 10th House is building an inclusive Nigeria under the visionary leadership of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, my friend and my brother and my boss. The 10th House of Representatives has placed inclusion at the heart of its legislative agenda because no democracy can claim maturity when its laws fail to reflect the diversity of its people. As chairman of the House Committee on Constitution Review, I can attest that this is the most participatory review process in our democratic history. We have held national dialogues and public hearings across the country, consulting technocrats, consulting traditional rulers, women groups, youth, political parties, and civil society organizations. We deliberate for hours, refining every proposal to produce a constitution that truly belongs to the people. So that what we stated in our preamble, we, the people of Nigeria, will no longer be a lie, but will be a truism to what actually happened in the process of making this constitution, because the constitution will belong to us. We voiced out what we wanted, it was accommodated. Gender inclusion is central to this process because strengthening women's representation strengthens Nigeria as a whole. Therefore, I call on my colleagues, who are your brothers and sisters, who are your fathers and mothers and aunties and uncles, across party lines, across regional lines, across religious lines, to see the special seat bill not as a woman's bill, but as the nation's bill. The 10th House has the power to make history. And with courage and consensus, we will make history. Thank you. The question becomes, how does the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President, a known Democrat, how does it align with the visions for inclusion? The President's Renewed Hope agenda sets a national direction built on equity, built on opportunity, built on inclusion. The appointment of women to key economic and policy ministries demonstrates that gender inclusion is not peripheral to governance. It is central to reform. If you must have an effective, efficient reform, women must be at the center of it all. Our legislative work aligns with this vision because I've always advocated that though we are three arms of government, We are one government with one national objective. The president set the direction. We use legislative tools to make sure we get to the destination. So, the Special Seat B complement the president's policy agenda, translating inclusion from aspiration to constitutional reality. When the time comes, I have no doubt Mr. President will assent to this bill, not out of political convenience, but out of conviction. You may recall, he empowered the wife to go to the Senate, even while he was seated at home. So he had been practicing what we are preaching before we started putting them in writing. And today, when you hear the contribution of the First Lady, when you hear the innovation of the First Lady, I was happy to hear when the chairperson of the spouses of the governor mentioned the innovative program of Madam First Lady of the nation on helping the girl child. You see, it's coming from the depth of knowledge and experience in the course of her being in the house, being equipped, following debate, understanding the various dynamics in our country. So when such a woman advises the first man of the country, the president of the country, it will not be a piece of advice, sound coming from empty box. It will be coming from the wealth of knowledge. Put your hands together for the wife of the president. So, I believe that the president will sign this into law. Our democracy works best when both arms of government move in one rhythm for equity, for inclusion, and for the full realization of Nigerian potential. Let's talk about investing in the girl's child, the foundation, as the foundation of progress. Every law we pass must ultimately expand opportunity for the next generation. Investing in the girl child remains one of the most valuable investments in our nation's future. If you want them to represent us tomorrow, build them today, so that when the time comes, they will have something to offer. And that is why catching them young in the room was the right step towards the right direction of SASO. These ones listening, it may appear they are not paying attention. Seeds are being sown in their hearts. It was at 10 years old when I was told that I was going to be a local government chairman. And that dream never left me. And today, I'm a national leader. In my religion, he said, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. What we sow today, in their childhood, the nation will reap in their adult stage. So, I truly believe that the future belongs to those that we prepare today. So, according to World Bank report in 2018, women who complete secondary school earn roughly twice as much as those with little or no education. That is the true economics of inclusion. Beyond education, we must open pathways for girls into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the famous STEM field, which shape tomorrow's economy. We must fund mentorship network and support civil society and the private sector to build safe spaces for women to thrive. This is not the government's duty alone. Families, communities, traditional and religious institutions, as well as the media, must all play their part. I'm looking forward to when our Auntie Regina will have a mentorship school, because you have a lot of fans. A lot of young ladies look up to you. You've lived a life worthy of emulation. And these young ladies who are searching for mentors, it's about time we put a school together where you groom them to do some of the things you are doing and some of the things you did. People like you are resourceful, And when we want to raise the young ones, we show them, we ask them to focus on you as an example. Thank you for being the great Regina Abu. Thank you for doing what you are doing. I have a message to the girls and to the society. To every girl listening, education is your first vote for your own future. Build competence, nurture character, and walk with courage. When you rise, you must hold another girl's hand. For true progress is shared. Let me say that again. When you rise, young girls, you must hold another girl's hand. For true progress is shared. Empowering girls is not the woman's cause alone. It is the national duty. Men must be allies, not adversaries. In the pursuit of justice, every home must become the first classroom of equality. Because nations rise higher when both genders stand together. To the women of Nigeria, this bill belongs to you. Own it. Defend it. And speak for it. The nation is in the labor room of reform. And the contractions have begun. Change is never born without pain. And justice never arrives without persistence. Keep pushing until a new era of equity is born. As I conclude, this moment is not about applause or politics, but about purpose. Building a republic where justice is fair, inclusion is real, and every child can reach her full potential. Again, let me thank TOS Foundation for convening this symposium and all the partners who convened this with her, and for their tireless advocacy for women's representation across civil society, women's group, youth network, and development partners. Many have worked diligently behind the scene. I urge you to continue, for victory is almost here. I must call out the British High Commission. You have been fantastic. And let me also say, I like what you are putting on. You look like Adiola or Nkechi or Amina. You fit into all those names. Advancing women's representation as a roundup, true thoughtful policy is more than a reform. It is an investment in Nigerians' future. When women take their rightful place in decision-making, and when the girls of today are empowered to become the leaders of tomorrow, our democracy is strengthened and our governance improve and our nation's potential fully realized. When we enshrine inclusion in policy and practice, we do more than change laws. We change the Nigeria we all dream of. I want to thank you for listening. May God bless you and bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Build confidence, nurture character. When you rise, he said, you must hold another girl's hand, because true preference is shared. Men must be allies and not adversaries. Those were the words of this uncommonly great man, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu, CFR. I think he deserves a round of applause. Please, let's celebrate him.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.